Well, holy smokes, we just got a hold of the document that shows how Goldman Sachs sees this election playing out and, quite frankly, what it means for the stock market, both for Democrats and Republicans, sweep versus not sweep. Let's just get right into it. Election reaction function. Here we go. Trump with Republican sweep. They give a 25% chance of happening. You are looking at, if this happens, a potential increase in the S&P 500 of 3%. This would be a big rally. We did have a Trump rally after Trump won in 2016. They believe that consumer stocks could underperform due to the weight of those potential tariffs on, Chinese companies and otherwise. Kamala Harris calls this the consumer tax. Obviously, this is something that Donald Trump argues is just a tax on Chinese companies and something beneficial towards American companies. Anyway, there's a chance that if this happens with the Republican sweep, you could actually see the 10-year Treasury move up 20 basis points, and this would be probably because of anticipations around what's called Trumpflation, which would just basically be tax cuts and tariffs. So on both ends of the candle, Wall Street folks like Rabobank or Goldman or others, they think that could be inflationary. Now, Donald Trump says that won't be inflationary, but what Wall Street argues is that if you cut taxes, people have more to spend, you could create more demand and therefore more inflation. And at the same time as cutting taxes, if you're putting tariffs on, you're increasing the prices for things. So you're making prices more expensive and you're giving people more opportunity to spend more. So even though you might not have this huge net benefit there, prices up, so inflation up, and therefore potentially yields higher, second wave of inflation fears, yada, yada, yada. The Economist had a big piece this morning where they're basically like, and The Economist hates Donald Trump, okay? So let's just be really clear about that, and I'm just mentioning it because it's related to this. But The Economist thinks that Donald Trump in 2016 had a lot of people in his administration that sort of restrained him from doing Trumpian things. And The Economist thinks over the past really 8 years, Donald Trump has pretty much fired everybody who's not like a full-on disciple of Donald Trump and like go MAGA. And so that in this next election, if Donald Trump wins, he could be sort of the immune, thanks to the Supreme Court, president who's able to do everything he wants with his circle around him already built out to do exactly what he wants to do. And this is why they think tariffs could get through even if there's no sweep. Via Trump divided government, you still get potentially, you get a lower 10-year yield. You don't get the spike in the 10-year, but you potentially still get tariffs and deregulation, but you get a little bit less boost in the markets, maybe only 1.5%, 30% probability here, because you don't get those tax benefits. Next probability is about a 40% chance, which is really interesting because if you add the Trump sweep versus Trump divided government, Goldman puts it at 55%. 40% chance they actually think Harris wins with the divided government. S&P 500 falls, but the dip ends up getting bought. Weaker dollar and overall lower yields. And honestly, I think I'm a big believer that the most ironic thing is sometimes what happens. Everybody's saying there's no chance of a Democratic sweep, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if markets are totally mispriced for this? I'm not imparting my opinion on what happens or not. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to report to you what others are saying. But I think a Democratic sweep is woefully underpriced right now, and it's really going to rely on, frankly, quiet women voters to come out in droves more so than normally to skew all the polling in predicted markets because nobody thinks it's possible to get a Dem sweep. But remember, this is the Roe v. Wade election cycle. So for men, most men don't care about that, but most women do. So that's going to be an interesting one. All right, a Democratic sweep opens up the possibility that corporate taxes could be raised. This would just be dumb. I think if they do sweep, I really hope they don't do that. But they do see this as risk negative, and oil would be a loser as well. Now, before we get to those times, I want you to see this chart right here. Look at this. Bitcoin under Harris down 3%, Trump up 7%. From an oil point of view, we think that there's a shot of oil being negative 3.4% under Harris and up substantially under Trump. So we'll see how that ends up going. That would be right here. You see regional banks up under Trump, down under Harris. Infrastructure up under Harris. You can kind of take a screenshot of this if you want. I won't go through all of it. Renewables up 6.8% under Harris. That'd be like an Enphase right there. Enphase actually did well today. It's at 87 bucks. Still pretty low though. Went all the way down to 76 bucks there on earnings. That's crazy. Not good. They're definitely losing market share to like Teslas and others. But anyway, under Trump, minus 4.5%. So big move expected there. Expecting small caps to move more under Donald Trump. And the NASDAQ actually to move better under Harris. If you look at AI, this was interesting too. Expensive software, they may as well just write Palantir here, which had an excellent earnings report, mind you. But it's still expensive as crazy. It's like a 4.5 to 5.5 peg, depending on whose Wall Street or whose EPS estimates you use. My own estimates put it at like 4.5. Wall Street puts it at like a 5.9 peg. It's crazy. So I'm actually more bullish on their growth. But anyway, expensive software, Trump victory up, down under Harris, which is interesting because I feel like Palantir should do well under expanded potentially military conquest. But anyway, artificial intelligence, semiconductors up more under Harris. This makes sense. Think CHIPS Act. Real estate, I was surprised by this. Real estate actually negative in both cases, but more negative under Trump. These would be like, real estate stocks, probably like home builders. They just don't get any love. And then discretionary down 0.9%, along with staples down 1.3% under Trump. Staples more flat, with discretionary up under Harris because you get rid of that tariff potential. And then these are some really interesting polls you want to pay attention to. I'll be covering these live. And so you'll see the first polls are going to start closing with Georgia around 4 p.m. California time and 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be live covering this. This is the big one right here, Pennsylvania. This will swing everything. If Democrats swing this, which they're not expected to right now, it'd be a really big election game changer. So that's going to be 5 p.m. California time. I will obviously be live for that. That's going to be a huge moment. So anyway, there you go. Goldman Sachs predictions. You want to expand your diversification. Make sure you are signed up for personalized financial advice with StockHack.com. Go to StockHack.com to learn more about how we as licensed financial advisors can give you advice. And every advice that goes through the door and out the door comes from me. That is, my team provides me everything they're talking to you about, and then we work together to figure out, all right, what do we think could work well in your situation? And that's the advice that you get. So it's all going through me. If you want to learn more about that, go to StockHack.com. And as usual, if you want to invest in HouseHack, it is still private now, but boy, I want to bring that sucker public one day. But anyway, if you want to learn more about that, no guarantees we can go public or when, but if you want to learn more about investing in it while it's a private company and still a little baby, make sure to go to househack.com. We've got a really cool convertible bond offering that offers you 5% on a convertible. Is crazy. Those are usually like 0.25% to 1.5% on a convertible because you get the upside in the stock. And you get upside in the stock with some other benefits. So go learn about that over at househack.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone, and good luck.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.